All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Daily Roundup webinar. I want to welcome you to the squeeze zone. Yes, we're talking about the S&P. S&P continues higher. It's amazing that we just continue to rally here in equities as the market prepares for the most dovish Fed president ever on record, I guess. I mean, that's apparently what everybody's expecting. And this has obviously propelled the stock market to all-time highs. And we continue to push higher in the markets. And I don't know if there's any real stopping here for equities. I mean, they just continue to blast higher. And the stopping point is going to be obviously, when the market feels that it's been enough, obviously. But some of these, RSIs are overbought. I think that we're coming into, this big resistance, which is the old megaphone pattern. That might give us some pause. A couple, we don't always look at this. You notice I've had it on my charts here, but stochastics here are divergent along with, an overbought relative strength, which suggests that we might have, on the slow stochastic, some overbought situations coming into play. So what we see in currencies is the dollar's weakening, and the dollar is actually on, it's sold off a little bit. We're below the 93 level support. That's got to be expected when stocks are just blasting higher the way that they are. We've got the euro that's recovering. It's near its daily highs. We had a little sell-off to the 1770 level, and then we bounced quite aggressively. The cable's back above 132, pushing right back into the 78% retracement, which I think is relatively important resistance. The Aussie dollar, continues higher. We, went past the 618 retracement, but still, in this channel. You notice how we're not even, well, I mean, I can't say we're not super close, but we're well off the recent trend highs here. Kiwi, back up to trendline resistance. This is where we were at yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple of days ago when we hit this trend line. That was actually on the 19th. So we hit that trend line resistance, we pull back, we're right back at that trend line resistance. Got to be a little careful being long any, New Zealand dollar at this point. The dollar Canadian slumped back to the 161% extension. Let me remove that. We're back to the support. This is pretty key support for the dollar Canadian. Obviously, it's 161% extension, but we've bounced off of these levels plenty of occasions. I wouldn't be surprised if we push below towards the 20s, just kind of stopping people out before bouncing. That would make a sense to me. As we're pushing into new lows. Although relative strength is divergent intraday. Dollar Mexican peso, excuse me really quick. Dollar Mexican peso hasn't broken support. It's been holding support, which I find interesting. I was talking to a colleague of mine about the peso, and he's like, look, COVID's pretty much over. After the Fed signals that we're going to, stay lower for longer, and Fed Chairman Powell, the Mexican peso should strengthen after that. And I'm like, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but the thing that, I can't ignore, and I'm sure you can't either, is the fact that stocks continue to break higher, yet the US dollar Mexican peso doesn't break lower. So either we're going to have a case of it's going to play a little catch up and it's going to start, really, just kind of pushing down towards 2150, which is, that you can't rule that out. Not in this environment, not in what we're seeing in equities right now. But the same token is, if stocks actually peak, let's just say tomorrow we get the buy the rumor, sell the news, and stocks actually reverse, you have to actually be on guard for the US dollar Mexican peso to start squeezing, because it'll act like a slingshot. You know, what did not go down usually only has one other direction to go, and that would be, you know, higher. So I hear what my colleague was saying about the peso. I'm not a believer yet. Okay. So let's go back to, you know, the S&P and what I'm thinking for, you know, tomorrow. What I think is going to happen here is I think that you're seeing the buying come in, you know, ahead of tomorrow's event. And I think that we're going to get a buy the rumor or sell the news type of event. Now, that doesn't mean that the market won't scream higher first, because let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say, okay, for, you know, and I want you guys to, you know, bear with me for a second as I draw this out. I think that let's say that we're here, right where we're at, going into tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Eastern. Okay, Fed Chairman Powell talks about the framework, says I'm going to let inflation run hotter, longer than we expect. And the market does, in my opinion, the market's at risk of doing this and then selling off, right? So into new highs and then reversing. But, you know, obviously we don't know where we're at until, you know, tomorrow morning. But I kind of think that's what's brewing here in equities. But we'll see. I mean, tomorrow's going to be a big day, and, you know, obviously we're going to be, you know, watching very carefully on what the, you know, what the Fed chairman's going to do and what he's going to say. I got asked by Antonio in the chat room a bit ago. He asked, you know, hey, what, you know, how about the Fed? Are they going to be? Is there any chance the Fed being hawkish? I don't think there's any chance of the Fed chairman not being dovish. I don't think there's any chance of that. Now, obviously, if he is, that would be a spectacle. We would see probably a pretty big move in everything. So I don't think there's any reason why he's going to disappoint and not be dovish. The question that I'm asking right now, and I think what the market's going to be facing tomorrow, is it buy the rumor, sell the news? And that, I think, is the bigger risk for tomorrow. Is the right? We got what we wanted, you know, and then we get, you know, the last gasp, and then everybody realize, oh crap, we have an election coming up here in a couple months, and that's a little scary. So time to get out of my longs, and that's what I think is how it's going to play out. But, you know, obviously we won't know that until tomorrow. So let's see. Piero says, so gold and silver should break out. Thank you. You know, that's going to be my cue. Actually, I want to say my cue. That's something that I'm watching very, very carefully, because, you know, as a trader, I'm looking for, you know, this overbought situation to correct. That's what I'm thinking, obviously. So what's going to signal to me that, you know, perhaps this is going to happen is that we would see gold below 1900. Now, obviously, we had a nice rally this morning, and if you were on the FACE webinar this morning, we're right when we were at 1905, 1906. I said, hey, this is the best risk reward to buy gold right now, and it just boom, you know, bounced. Now, I think tomorrow, based on what happens, like let's say tomorrow we get, you know, something like this, you know, gold, I didn't want to do that. Gold dropping below like 1900, that would signal that we are truly indeed going to see a pullback in risk. That's going to be like one of my confirmation tools that I'll be looking at. Will we get a pullback in gold or silver? I hope so, because I really would love to see gold come back to 1800. I'd love to see it come back to, you know, maybe even 1700, somewhere down, you know, maybe down here. 16, 17. I'd like to see something like that, shake out some of the longs that got, long up here, and then allow it to get a better price, a little cheaper. But I think gold is still a buy on dips type of situation, and same with silver too. I think silver is going to be a, dip down to the 20 level. Stelios has been looking at 21 forever. A dip down there is going to give us an opportunity to be on the long side. That's what I think. And like I said, I may be wrong about that. I mean, the Fed could be super dovish, or Fed Chairman Powell could be super dovish, and next thing you know, you've got gold that doubles from here, goes straight up. I hope not, because I really would like to own more. I own what I own, but it's never enough when it's going in your direction, right? So so I'd hope to be able to buy a little bit more. Anyway, guys, yeah, tomorrow's a big day. Try not to get in any significant trouble today in the markets. And tomorrow, like I said, is going to be a very, very significant day. Some people are calling it the biggest speech of Powell's life, his career. It's probably one of the most important that we're going to hear in the markets for quite some time, as we get some idea about the future framework of the Fed. So anyway, rest easy until then, and take it easy. I will look forward to chatting with you guys tomorrow morning on the Face webinar. Remember, if you guys are not members of ForexAnalytix, make sure you join. It's only $1 for 10 days to try it out. Download the apps while you're at it, and so you have this on your mobile devices. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and thank you all for your support, for those of you that are current ForexAnalytix subscribers. So thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Brock, and you're welcome, and thank you, everybody else. Thanks, Alexander. See ya.